Welcome to this year's second and third grade cooking demo. My name is Janie, and I'm the Nutrition Education Coordinator here at TMA. And this is Ariana. She's our nutrition intern this year. The Nutrition Education Program is a new dimension of the TMA Garden, and our team is very excited that you have chosen to attend our third ever cooking demo. Our goal here is to encourage the TMA community to make healthier, more sustainable food choices on a daily basis. We also hope to educate students and their parents about ways to prepare nutritious recipes using produce growing right here in the TMA Garden. Next, I'm honored to introduce professional chef Richard Espinachio. He will lead us in cooking a fresh, delicious, and wholesome sunny day pasta salad that you can make for your school lunch or as an after-school snack. Richard is the chef owner of Diego's Downtown, a unique restaurant located in Santa Ana that brings a creative twist to Latin cuisine. For many years, Richard owned an art gallery called The Caged Chameleon, where he gained a great deal of experience in food by catering each event. Thank you for volunteering your time with us, Richard.
You're welcome.
Finally, your wonderful principal will be the co-chef today, one of our co-chefs. Before we begin, Ms. Hudson will share our Chef's Reward program with you, where you can be recognized in the All-Star News and receive Healthy Change tickets, which are just like the green bucks, to use at the Tuesday produce sale. So, Ms. Hudson?
Thank you, and my students know I don't have a voice today, so I'm going to do the best I can. The first way you can participate in our TMA Student Chef Reward Program is to prepare the pasta salad recipe you learned at today's demonstration for your lunch next Tuesday, February 24th. Come to the front office at the beginning of lunch and show me your uneaten pasta salad. I'll give you one Healthy Change voucher worth 50 cents at any Tuesday produce sale, and your name will be mentioned in next week's All-Star News. The second way to participate for you and your parent is for you and your parent to make this pasta salad on February 24th for the produce sale. So pasta salad needs to be at the produce stand by 2:15, and Janie will award you one Healthy Change voucher, and you can earn an additional Healthy Change voucher for passing out samples of your delicious pasta salad during the produce sale. I will also mention you in next week's All-Star News. If you'd like to participate with your child in preparing a pasta salad for the produce sale, please see Janie after the demonstration. We look forward to seeing just how many TMA student chefs we have next Tuesday.
And thank you to everyone for attending our program today. Just a heads up, we will be playing a game of nutrition trivia throughout the demo with questions that are based on the surveys you all filled out and ingredients in our recipe today. So stay tuned. Okay, Richard, please take it away.
I'm on? Well, thank you everybody for having me here today. I'm really excited. I get to play hooky from work to come to school, so that's really kind of fun. I've learned a lot about what's going on in regards to your garden that you have here at the school and how you're really trying to challenge yourselves on thinking of alternative ways to eat healthy. And you know, I grew up eating a lot of junk food. I grew up eating lots of things that are bad for me. And a lot of it came from the fact that I wasn't educated. Nobody really talked to me about options that I could have. And I'm just really happy to see that there's so much information out available for you to learn how to eat healthy and to make the right choices. And also too that there's places to go to like farmers markets and things of that nature where you can make those choices and to grow your own garden at home. Even at my own house, I have a little tiny space and I grow my own vegetables, my own herbs, and I have so much fun doing it. And there's something that tastes better about your food when you've grown it yourself, and a little bit of pride in knowing that, hey, I put this together. And it doesn't take a lot of work, but you know, it takes a little bit of manpower or woman power to get in there and do it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you a recipe today that I created by looking at the vegetables that you had available in your garden this time around and using some alternatives in the sauces that don't require a lot of work on your part, not too much work, and we're gonna go through that. I wanna introduce you to my assistant, this is Lynette. She's actually my assistant at the restaurant. She's gonna be helping me today on getting this recipe done. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the recipe. First and foremost, the recipe begins by our pasta. Does everybody have their pasta in front of them? Okay, great. Now the great thing about pasta is there's so many to choose from, and I think in this situation we're using a whole grain pasta, but you probably have seen spinach pasta or tomato pasta. You can use macaroni, you can use a spaghetti. Really anything that you have at home can be used. what I like to do is I make pasta at the beginning of the week. I make a little extra, so I might use it for a recipe at the beginning of the week, and then I keep it. Because I might turn it into a hot pasta dish at the end of the week. I can make it into a pasta salad like what we're doing now. And you have a lot of options available for you. And you can have your mom help you out with making the pasta at the beginning of the week. Basically you're just boiling it in water until it's cooked al dente, which means where it's not too soft, not too hard. And in this situation, we're tossing it with a little bit of oil. You can use a salad vegetable oil, or you can use an olive oil. Olive oil has some health benefits, and if you, with your parents, look it up online and find out some things about olive oil, you'll find a little bit more about that. Now, the way that I've learned how to make recipes and how I've learned to do alternative healthy cooking is to learn about different diets across the world. Because we probably know the things we grew up with are things that you grew up around your house with. But across the world, there are different types of cultures that do great recipes with foods that maybe you never heard of, and using recipes that can be very interesting to try out. And I kind of came up with a little bit of this recipe in the same manner. And we'll get a little bit further with that when we get to the yogurt. So we have our prepared pasta. It's here ready to go, drained. We're going to go ahead and put that off to the side for now. And we're going to go into making our dressing. Okay, so for our dressing, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our cream base. Now, a lot of times people will use sort of heavier cream, things that have a lot of fat, but we're going to use a Greek yogurt. I know, how many of you here have eaten yogurt or like yogurt? Raise your hand. Has anybody here had Greek yogurt before? Okay. Well, one of the great things about Greek yogurt versus the yogurt they're probably used to is that it's strained. The process that they use to make the yogurt, it's strained much more, so it has a thicker consistency and it has less sugars in it. And it also has a lot more protein in it than your normal yogurt. And especially if you're using like a non-fat or a low-fat Greek yogurt, then it doesn't have as much fat in it as well. So low sugar, more protein, pretty good trade-off. And the great thing is that you can flavor it to really add whatever you want to make it your own. And in this instance, we're going to use it as our base for our salad dressing. So looking at our menu, how much do we have to start off with here?
For the Greek yogurt,
yeah,
it'd be a 1/4 cup.
Okay, so we're going to start off with going ahead and using a 1/4 cup of our Greek yogurt. So if you want to go ahead and do that, put it into your mixing bowl. Go ahead and do that now. Now, just to bring up a point about recipes and the dishes that you're using now, all of these dishes actually, they're just sort of a starting point for what you're making. You should always look at recipes as a template or as an idea, and you can create your own variances on that. You can make it your own. If you are somebody who really likes a creamy pasta salad, you can add a little bit more yogurt. But if you like it a little bit more dry, use a little bit less. The point is that you really can't go wrong. There is no mistakes to be made here. It's just a lot of fun to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and have our yogurt mixed inside there. Okay. Okay. Next item on the dressing?
Apple cider vinegar.
Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're going to add apple cider vinegar. In this instance, we're using how much? An eighth a cup. So we're going to go ahead and pour that right into our yogurt. And that's going to give us a nice, sweet, also tangy flavor to our yogurt. I know the yogurt's already tangy, but this is going to give it almost another complex flavor on top of it. Oh,
An eighth of a cup.
an eighth of a cup. And honestly, if you don't have exactly an eighth of a cup, that's okay. If you have a tablespoon, you can do that. Maybe add a little bit more lemon juice. You're just trying to add a little bit of acid to your dressing to bring out the flavors. So once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and you're going to add the apple cider vinegar to that. So it should be like this. And then next, what do we have?
We have 1.5 teaspoon fresh lemon juice.
Okay, great. And I think this lemon here was actually grown organically, so we have this beautiful lemon. And lots of trees here that have lemons and oranges, so if you have a neighbor or maybe you have one at home, you can go ahead and cut that. And we're going to add that lemon juice right to the dressing. So we're doing a tablespoon or a teaspoon and a half. Okay. Get that added on there. Next.
And a teaspoon and a half of honey.
Okay, so now we're going to go into adding our sweet component to the dressing. We now have had our Greek yogurt, we have our vinegar, and we have our lemon juice. So all three of those items should be inside your bowl now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut through the acid and through the tanginess by adding a sweet component. Now, we're not going to use a sugar per se, we're going to use honey, which is a natural sweetener. And because with honey, there is, it has a sweeter component to it, you need less of it than you would if you were using processed sugar. And honestly, anything that's processed way too much is never really a good idea. When I go to a grocery store, I try to buy all my stuff all around the perimeter of the grocery store, because all your good stuff is all around the edge. Your vegetables, you know, your meat proteins, your dairy, those are all the best items that are on there. Figure if you have to go deeper into the market, you're probably buying a lot of processed foods. And the great thing too about, I'm sure if your mom has given you sugar, she's like, don't have too much sugar, you're gonna just be bouncing off the walls. And that's because your body breaks down these sugars and turns them into energy. The thing about with processed sugar is that your body, it takes more work to break down the things that put together processed sugars and absorb that energy in. With honey, the bees already add something to it, the sugars, so that it actually turns into energy much quicker. So if you need a really good pick-me-up, instead of grabbing a can of Coke or a cupcake, a little bit of something with honey might even be good, like a piece of toast with a little bit of honey or something along those lines instead. So we're going to go ahead and add that honey into our dressing. Okay. Okay. All right. And then we're at the whiskey part.
And now we're going to get an 1/8 cup of fresh parsley or cilantro chopped.
Okay. So we're going to do, before we add our herbs in, and this is just at this part of the recipe, we're going to go ahead and whisk this together. And this is actually the fun part. Just go ahead and take your whisk, and you're going to want to whisk it really good together. So you're mixing it, incorporating all the ingredients mixed in with one another. And you should start to see your ingredients mixed in and start to look like a dressing. So now, if you're making this at home and you're not sure, hey, I'm not sure how it tastes, I'd get a little tasting spoon, put your tasting spoon, taste it. Hey, maybe it needs a little more sugar, or not sugar, maybe it needs a little more honey, or maybe it needs a little bit more sour cream, or yogurt. That's when you would go ahead and do that. But at this point, you're just going ahead and making the base of your dressing. So you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Okay? All right, so we're gonna put that off to the side for now, and we're gonna get our chopping board. Thank you, Lynette.
All right, we have our first trivia question, which is, can you name another sweetener besides honey, a natural sweetener that was used today that's used besides honey in our recipe?
What else did we use in our recipe so far that might be a natural sweetener?
The red shirt. Yeah, that's a fruit used. Can you name a sweetener?
But not a sweetener that we use today, but a sweetener that's available.
Yeah, a natural sweetener in general.
I think that was a little confusing. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Agave?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, like maple syrup and dates and fruit like bananas.
And just even at Diego's, we almost exclusively use agave as a sweetener for almost all of our sauces and that type of thing. It's a great, great sweetener to use. And if you haven't tried it, ask Mom if you can buy some and try it. I think you'll really like it. Ready on the next thing? Okay, so before we start getting into the rest of the dressing, we're actually going to go into our vegetables. Let's go ahead and put our dressing off to the side for now. and we're going to talk about the vegetables that are going to go into our pasta salad. Now today, because what we had available in the garden, we had our broccoli, and I'll go ahead and show that to you here. And this is actually from your garden here, which is also a great choice. And we have radishes, which is a nice, great root vegetable. And you can see radishes, they come in, especially when you grow them yourselves, they come in red and purple and yellow and beautiful different colors. Some of a larger type of radish, like a daikon, which is a larger white one you see in a lot of Asian foods, is another choice. And then we also had kale, which is a green vegetable that is wonderful for many reasons. Kale is a great vegetable to use in soups. It can be used in a stir fry, and actually, it's actually being used to be made into chips as well. So as you're used to eating potato chips with a lot of salt, a lot of oil, let me tell you, try a kale chip, dry it in the oven with a little seasoning that you make your own. You will love it. I know it sounds kind of weird, but once you've had them, you won't think so much anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about cutting down our vegetables for our pasta salad. Now, I brought a knife today, a chef's knife. It's pretty standard. I'm not sure exactly how much you're using a knife at home, but if you are planning on using a knife, please use it with your mom and dad present, or an aunt, uncle, or an older brother, just so that you can do that. I learned how to cook with my grandmother and my mother growing up, and I probably started when I was about 7, and I'd cook side by side with them, and they taught me how to use a knife and how to use all of the utensils properly. But I'm not sure if you've ever been taught how to use a knife, but in using a knife, you really should be pinching the blade here at the top in sort of that fashion. I know everybody's thought is that you want to hold the knife with the handle like this, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to actually sort of pinch the top of the blade, and you'll find that it's almost like an extension of your hand, and very much you're in control of the knife. And having a sharp knife, although it is dangerous, is actually the safest thing to do, because a dull knife will slide when you're chopping a vegetable or something and has a more potential to be injured. So make sure that your knives are sharp, but as I said before, make sure you have supervision when that's happening. Now what I do when I'm cutting my broccoli at home is I cut right here from the top and cut the stem off. Now this stem I will chop up and use. I'll make a soup out of it, or I can actually even chop it even smaller, use it in a stir fry, or if you have a compost at home, you can use it for your compost pile as well. But for this instance, we're just going to be using the florets, which is the top of the broccoli. So we went ahead, we made this small cut, and you can see when you do that, pretty much almost starts to fall apart for you. So if you have your mom chop that up, you can just with your fingers, just go ahead and pull the small pieces that you want. Now, when people are asking how big should I cut vegetables for a salad or for a recipe, I tell them, well, how big do you want when you put a fork of food in your mouth? You only want the piece to be big enough to fit on your fork and to fit in your mouth. So I always kind of use it as a guide. If I look and I say, do I really want to put that big piece in my mouth on the fork? It's probably too big. So I'm probably going to chop it down just a little tiny bit more. And like I said, the great thing about broccoli is that you can really pull it apart with your fingers. So I kind of did that here. And you have your small florets, and we're going to go ahead and put that off now to the side. And in chopping our radish, we're going to go ahead and take the top off, cut the bottom, put this on the side for our compost pile. And really, when you get down to this part, it's however you want it, as long as it's in small pieces. You can slice it, you can cut it into chunks if you want to. It's up to you. There's no rules. A lot of the time, if you're baking, there's a lot of rules because there's a lot of science involved. But with this type of cooking, really, you can't do any wrong. So as long as you have them chopped up in some small piece like this, put them off to your side, you're ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and put our radish off to the side for that. And then our next vegetable for the day is our kale, which was grown organically in one of our guest gardens here. Same thing with the kale. Although I have a knife here, honestly, I don't really even need it. I could just go ahead and just take the kale after I've washed it thoroughly and just tear it into little tiny pieces, into the size that I want. Once again, not really a lot of knife work and kind of easy to figure out. So once you got your little bits and pieces of your kale ready to go, put that off to the side, and then you'll have that ready for the next part of the recipe. So we have our vegetables ready now. If you haven't had a chance to do that, I think most of the vegetables have been prepared for you already, but you have these 3 ready to go. Okay, we're going to go back to our dressing. Oopsie, oopsie. Okay, so this part is going to be about customizing or making the dressing your own. Now, what we have available for us today is flat parsley here. We have cilantro, and we also have some mint. Now, these herbs are all used either individually or together for different types of recipes. And it's about what you like. What are the things that really hit home with you? Now, if you're making something that's Latin or Asian, you may be familiar with the cilantro and think, oh, I wouldn't put that in a salad, but it tastes awesome in a salad. And then there's mint. Not everybody thinks about mint in a salad, but a lot of Mediterranean recipes call for mint, and it's a great combination with some of the ingredients that we're using today. And then parsley. There's all types of different types of parsley. You probably have seen curly parsley. This is a flat parsley. In any case, all of these things are all great stuff to use, and it's about what you like. But even if you haven't tried something and you think you may not like it, just give it a shot, because you might find that you do. Now, I have a knife here that I could use for my herbs, but I also use kitchen shears as well. And if you have anything like that at home, what I like to do is I take a little sprig of, say, one of my herbs, and I just chop it down. Just go ahead and use my scissors and chop into little pieces.
If everyone wants to follow along chopping their herbs with the chef, feel free to do so.
You know, you can just go ahead and make a little chop. Now, if I was not using my shears today and I was choosing to use my knife instead, what I might do is tear my little pieces of herb off, like this, and then take my knife and kind of do this, where you're kind of rocking. You hold the blade, tip down the top, pinch it up on the top like I showed you earlier, and just take it across until you get a nice little chop as small as you want to. So right now what I've got here is I've chopped up some cilantro, I've chopped up some mint, and I'm going to do a little bit of the parsley as well, because I like all herbs and I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to totally use all the ones that are given to me today. Now, you probably have seen in your mom and dad's pantry, you probably have seen herbs that are dried, and those herbs are good. I mean, you can use those for many, many months, but there's nothing as delicious as a fresh herb in any food. It'll always make something taste like it's spring inside your mouth. So whenever you have a chance to use a fresh herb, I always recommend to go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and chop up this parsley. And I'm going to mix all my little herbs together and kind of chop them up. And like I mentioned before, there are no mistakes. You cannot make a mistake in what we're doing here today. You're just making how you cook food and how you're deciding to do it is your own. So that's kind of a fun thing. All right, after we've gone ahead and you have an opportunity to chop all your herbs, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put these herbs inside your dressing. Do you mind if I give that to you? Okay, so looking at your dressing, it should take on this look where you have your herbs. Now you drop them inside there. You're going to take your whisk, and now you're just going to go ahead and whisk it on through.
I have a quick question for all the students here. Did anyone in this room help grow any of the ingredients that we're using in our recipes today? Yeah? What did you grow? Radishes? Do either of you know what nutritional category radishes fall under? fruit, vegetable, grain, protein. Good job. Thank you. Yes, in the red shirt? You grew cilantro? Okay. Do you know what nutritional category that falls under? It's the tricky one. It could be a vegetable, but it's kind of its own category. It's called an herb. So it's kind of a separate thing, but it's close to a vegetable. Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you guys.
All right, and speaking of green onion, that's where we're at now. You have your herb that's inside the dressing, so you've got that ready to go. Not everybody is a big onion fan, and I get it. I wasn't a big onion fan either. But if you've already learned to love onion, at this point is where I would recommend you go ahead and do that. And once again, you can actually use your scissors again. You can go ahead and just cut little pieces of this onion right inside there. You can get it as small as you want to. You can go down as far down the green as you'd like. Okay, after you've done that, put your rest inside your compost, get your whisk, and whisk that together as well. Okay gang, so right now we're at a stage where we have all of our components together and ready to go to finish up our wonderful Sunny Days pasta salad. Okay, so we got our dressing, we got our pasta, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mix our pasta directly into the dressing. And with your spoon or your spatula, whatever you brought, you're going to go ahead and combine that together.
So we're combining what we've got so far?
Yeah. So right now we're mixing the dressing in with the pasta. Just tossing it over here. Very good. And then, we're going to go ahead and add some of our vegetables in. I love broccoli. And then radishes, which give a really great crunch. Okay. And then we're going to add our leafy kale. Okay. And then we're going to toss that. So it's awesome. We got all of this great green, and we have some of the red from the radish as well. Now, if we had grown carrots, or had carrots available, I would add a carrot to this. If mom has some leftover corn from like a dinner, if it's still in the refrigerator, you could add corn to it. One of the things that you and I were talking about, what was the thing you were saying you wanted to add to the salad?
Oh, garbanzo beans.
Garbanzo beans, which would be another great source of protein. Some other things we can think about? Edamame. If you guys have ever had that, that'd be another awesome thing to add to this salad. So really, it's really whatever you really want to put inside there. I know that some people have allergies to certain foods like nuts. However, if you're not allergic to a nut, that would be another great source of protein to add to the salad as well. So really, it's unending. There's so many things that you could do to really personalize the salad and give it your own name. Maybe it's the Lynette salad when you add the garbanzo beans. Okay.
Speaking of protein really quickly, does anyone know any of the other health benefits of Greek yogurt besides protein? Can you say that a little louder? Probiotics. So probiotics are really good for your digestive system. They're really beneficial bacteria that help you digest food and keep your stomach really healthy. Yes, in the red shirt.
All right, so we're getting close to the finish line of our pasta. And I like to finish the pasta with a little bit of cheese. And so we're going to mix a little bit of cheese right in here first, just to get it in there. And then we're going to toss that in. Oh, God, this is looking awesome. Now, you know, I didn't put on the recipe the salt and pepper because that's really to your taste. I don't like to put too much extra salt on my food. I'm not a big fan of that. But I do like a little bit of pepper once in a while. But you know, definitely if you feel like your salad dressing needs a little bit of that, by all means do that. But we're trying not to add too many extra components there. All right, so we got your salad ready to go. Lynette's giving me a plate so I can plate it up. And what I like to do, you get your plate like this. Grab something to put it right in the middle there. Make sure you get some of that radish inside. You want to make sure there's a little bit of everything. Okay, so we did our little salad, and then we're gonna go ahead and top it with a little bit more Parmesan. And also, if you are going to add a nut, or if you wanted to add a little bit extra of something, and you're like, gosh, no, I'm looking at that, and I'm realizing I kind of chunked myself out of radish. I think I want more. You can always add a little bit more, right there on the top. And so, you know what, I want to add a little more red on the top of my salad. Because, you know, food that looks good seems to always taste better too. And then you have yourself your sunny day pasta salad. And I think that's the end. So I want to come around and take a look at everybody's salad, if that's okay with you, and see how everybody's doing. And then if there's any questions you might have for me, I'll be more than welcome to answer any questions you might have. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Oh, you're welcome so much. So how do we do, guys?
While you guys are enjoying your delicious pasta salad, I'm just going to ask a few more nutritional questions, throw them out if anyone wants to answer. One of them is, did we use any fruit in today's recipe? Can anyone name a fruit? Yes. Lemon. Very good. Yeah, lemon is a fruit. Not everyone realizes that, but the lemons we actually use today are from the trees here at TMA. And lemons are a great source of vitamin C, which is really good for your immune system.
Yes. Oh,
See how different they taste? Maybe a little bit different.
There you go.
One last nutrition trivia question for everyone. And that would be, what are some of the health benefits of leafy greens such as kale that we used in today's recipe? Dark leafy greens, does anyone know? Yes, sure. Iron, perfect. And does anyone know what iron helps with? What it's good for? Yes, absorbing other nutrients like protein. Thank you. And it also helps circulate oxygen through our bloodstream, which is really important for being an active person.
Well, great job, you guys.
Good team.
Awesome job, guys. Did we go? Did you get on time? Yeah. Okay, guys. Hey guys, I'm still going to be around for a little while, so I don't know if you guys have any questions at all for me, but I love answering questions. So if you have any questions for me at all, please feel free. Oh, sorry, sweetie. Anything at all. Oh, you're looking at my big, it's a pretty big knife, huh? Yeah, you know, it's kind of cool. I mean, if you want to become a chef, or that's something you plan on doing in your future, there's nothing wrong with getting your own little knife to practice with, you know, and make sure you're just doing it under supervision. But it's always kind of fun when you have your own knife, and it's like, it's mine, I cook with it, I keep it sharp, I make sure it's clean. And, you know, and just like a big thing to you guys when you're thinking about cooking at home, cleanliness is such a big part of being a chef. When we're in our restaurants and we're cooking, we have to do a lot of food, and we often are cooking with a very small amount of space. Keeping things clean is just number one on the list. So make sure you're washing your hands, make all your utensils you're using. I don't know if you guys know this, but with my chopping board, I didn't put any bowls on it. I don't put anything on it except for food. You should not do any. You should never put anything on your. Don't put a pan on your chopping board. Don't put like your bowls on your chopping board. The only thing you put on there is food. You always want to keep it that way too. And I try to keep chopping board one for meat. I keep one chopping board for vegetables, and because you want to make sure you're keeping everything safe and uncontaminated. So, especially if you have friends that don't eat meat, you want to make sure that you're giving them, you know, what they're used to eating too. So. And I can keep talking and talking. All right, well, cool. Well, thanks again, you guys, for having me, and I really appreciate it. I hope you were able to make this dish at home.